English is my second language, so please forgive my broken English. First of all, nothing is financial advice, only educational purpose. So why I want to make this video? So I spend a lot of time on Bitcoin Twitter every day. Very often I see people say you had to accumulate at least 1 Bitcoin or at least 6.25 or even 10 Bitcoin. And the British hodl also said if you have $1,000 of Bitcoin today, you cannot make it. Another guy called Bruce, he wants to accumulate 0.3 Bitcoin. And some people say 0.3, you can never make it. So ultimately, how scarce is Bitcoin? So how many people can ever hold 1 BTC and how many people can ever hold 0.1 BTC? I want to show this in this video. I want to show you the calculation. Just yesterday, I see a tweet from Hodl Never Sold. He showed a profile, the currently global wealth distribution, and he applied the distribution to the 21 million Bitcoin. Here, what does he mean? For example, the top 1.1% in the world currently hold 45.8% of the total global wealth. The next 11.1% hold 39.1% of global wealth. And the poorest 55% of people only hold 1.3% of total global wealth. So my calculation is similar with this one. I mean, apply the similar global wealth distribution, but slightly different with his calculation here. But before I show the calculation, I want to talk about Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the arc for fiat flood. I think fiat flood will come eventually. So if Bitcoin is the arc, the space on this arc is limited, especially if you want larger space, you had to reserve early. You had to book ahead because bigger space can only hold so much people because bigger space is limited. The good part is the space on this arc can be tiny, can be splitted into tiny pieces. So if you don't care, if you continue to ignore Bitcoin, eventually you will get some, more or less you will get some. But if you want a bigger space, you have to pay attention now and you have to book ahead. I think Bitcoin is money and it's the only sound money on the world and it's the hardest asset on the world. Eventually, Bitcoin will become the dominant currency over the world and eventually it will become the only currency on the world. Since it's money, it cannot be evenly distributed from person to person because wealth never evenly distributed from person to person. There are always people holding more and there are always people holding less. Next, I want to show this website. You can search Bitcoin rich list. There is a table called Bitcoin distribution. So this table can tell you, for example, currently there are 848,845 addresses hold 1 to 10 Bitcoin. So others are similar. Next, I'm going to import this table to Excel, do the calculation in Excel. So from Excel, you can import the table here in the data tab. You can click from web, copy that address, and then select BTC distribution, click load. You will have that table. So I imported that table and I sorted from BTC rich to per. So this column is the coins for this category, and this column is a cumulative BTC. This column is the cumulative address. For example, this row means currently there are 4.4 million addresses hold more than 0.1 BTC. This number about 6 months ago was 4.1 million. So with half a year, it increased almost 300,000 addresses holding more than 0.1 BTC. It means shrimps and fishes are accumulating, stacking like a crazy. Next, let's calculate the average BTC per address. Column E here, you can see column E equal column B divided by column D, and then you got the average BTC balance on each address. So this column is for our reference. Column C and column D we will not use anymore, so I'm going to hide column C and column D. For example, we can see for addresses holding between 1 to 10 BTC, on average they are holding 2.11 BTC. For addresses holding between 0.1 to 1 BTC, on average they are holding almost a quarter BTC. So next, these two columns are my assumptions. You can twist the numbers here. Let me explain. I assume in future, the people holding more than 10 BTC, in total they hold 500,000 BTC. That's what does it mean by this number. I assume in future, the people holding between 1 to 10 BTC, in total they hold 1.6 million BTC. And this column is the average BTC per person, like this one. I assume on average, the people holding between 0.1 to 1 BTC, on average they hold 0.2 BTC. You can see this number is close to this number. I assume as more and more people coming in, the average will decrease. You can assume this number between the lower range to the upper range, but you cannot assume they are equal to the lower range because there are always people holding more. Here, this 5 million, I assume they are lost forever. And this column will add up to 21 million because BTC total supply capped at 21 million. Next, we can calculate the number of persons. So this column equal this column divided by this column. We get the number of persons. This column is a cum sum of this column. This column is the cumulative BTC percent of total circulation. Here, the total circulation, we use this one, the 16 million. We assume the 5 million lost forever, so nobody can move those coins. After the calculation, you will find this distribution is kind of similar with the distribution I showed before, the global wealth distribution. So this column is a cumulative persons. So this column is a cum sum of this column. It cum sum to 8 billion people now on Earth. And then we can calculate the global percentile. So here, the global percentile just equal the cum persons divided by 8 billion. Next, I assume 30% Bitcoiners living in US. Now US has 330 million people, so we can calculate the US percentile. So we use the cum persons column times 30% divided by 330 million. We get the US percentile like this one. So this is the calculation. Here I see persons, but actually BTC is for all entities, means BTC is for all government, central government, local government, all organizations, profit, non-profit, all companies, public companies, private companies, business owners, and also single persons. So if you take all the entities into consideration, it's more than 8 billion, maybe 9 billion. And you had to understand, you had to use Bitcoin to evaluate all your wealth. So if Bitcoin is what we think it is, which is the only sound money and the hardest asset on earth, Bitcoin eventually will be the only currency on the world. So you had to use Bitcoin to evaluate all your wealth. Next, we can answer the question now, how many entities have chance to hold a whole coin? Let's look at the table again. This row, we can see the cumulative persons, they are actually cumulative entities, is about 865,000. It's less than 1 million, which means roughly about, less than 1 million entities have chance to hold a whole coin. So what does 10 million sets mean? This row tells us roughly about 10 million entities have chance to hold more than 10 million Satoshi. What does it mean? Currently, there are about 50 or 60 million millionaires on the world. Can all of them acquire 10 million Satoshi? The math tells us it's not possible. So what I'm seeing here, currently BTC is 30,000. 0.1 BTC is only 3,000. And you are telling me millionaire cannot acquire zero point 0.1 BTC. Well, here's a mess. As I told you, this is the arc. Space like this on the arc is limited. It can only hold so many people. Therefore, if you want such space, you have to book ahead. I want to emphasize again, you had to use Bitcoin to evaluate all your wealth. What do I mean by all your wealth? I mean all your real estate, all your property, all your cash, all your retirement fund, all your stock, all your bond, everything. How many million houses in US right now? But everything will be priced in Bitcoin. It's a very high chance not all millionaires can acquire 10 million Satoshi, which means 0.1 BTC, but can all of them acquire 1 million Satoshi? So what does 1 million Satoshi mean? Here, look at this row. There are about 80 million entities have chance to hold more than 1 million Satoshi. That's 1% of a global population. It also means with more than 1 million Satoshi, you will be top 10% in US. So here's a real question. Can all millionaires acquire 1 million Satoshi? Well, actually, I doubt that. The reason is, look at here, look at this row, these two rows. They are actually holding a lot of BTC, almost 7 million BTC. I really doubt no coiners can buy so many BTC from Bitcoiners. Will Bitcoiners exchange so much BTC with fiat? I really doubt. And for the people get on board Bitcoin right now, how many of them are millionaires? How many are not millionaires? Therefore, it comes back to the same question. So the space on the arc is limited. If you want such space, you had to book ahead. You had to pay attention now. Here, the 0.1 BTC we can say in US will be top 1%. If you have chance to hold a whole coin, you will be top 0.1%. This number is also very interesting. Here will be the future middle class in US. So they will hold between 100,000 Satoshi to 1 million Satoshi. So about 60% of American will be in this range. So now you know the calculation. You can twist the numbers in these two columns and do the calculation by yourself. But remember, you have to make this column add up to 21 million. No matter how do you twist the number, I don't think you will change the conclusion significantly. Let me talk a little more. What does 1 million Satoshi mean? So if Bitcoin is what we think it is, when Bitcoin is fully adopted, let's say a normal professional who did master's degree in US, got a normal job, he worked very hard for his whole career. When he retire, do you think he has chance to be top 10% in US? Think about that. This includes all the rich people, all the CEOs, all the executives, all business owners, and also all those people who inherited wealth from father, from grandfather, from great-grandfather. It also includes all lawyers, all doctors. So do you think a normal professional, when he retire, he can become the top 10%? That's what 1 million Satoshi mean. That means a normal professional, he worked the whole career. All he can save is roughly 1 million to 2 million Satoshi, which now is about $300 to $600. Now let's look at these two categories. This range will hold 3 billion people in future. So this is between 10,000 Satoshi to 100,000 Satoshi. This range is from 1,000 Satoshi to 10,000 Satoshi. It will hold 4.2 billion people. You know, Strike has a promotion right now. For example, if you use my referral link to sign up Strike, you will get free $5. That free $5 can get you almost 17,000 Satoshi. It's more than this range. But remember, these people can acquire between 1,000 to 10,000 Satoshi. That means forever. It doesn't mean this year they can acquire so much, next year they can acquire same so much. Even they acquire new Satoshi, they have to spend out. They have no way to continue to accumulate, which means there will be always so many people in this range holding so much Satoshi. Because Bitcoin is capped at 21 million. This year is 21 million, next year, the year after next year, it's 21 million forever. ever is 21 million. So please, if you are interested in the strike deal, use my referral link to sign up, get the free $5, and you will get the free 17,000 Satoshi.
When they can print money for free, what helps the top hurts you and me. That's too bad. Bitcoin's power begins to show.